must be another one she loves.
What is up, guys? Ian here from Co-Create Today, taking your mindset from a place of lack to a place of abundance. Today I got a special guest right here, one of my favorite business partners, Angus, and we're just gonna just get together and just go through our brains, just kind of unlock some deep vaults within ourselves, just to kind of really start to get into realms where we can start expanding ourselves and go on from this video with better heights and just better knowing of what we're here to do. So welcome. Angus, so when it comes to education, what do you think made this such a reality in this day and age? Why do people want us to educate ourselves?
Education in the mainstream sense, going to
going
school,
to college,
all of that. I think it's purely based on what's developed over the past 50, 60 so years, even longer probably. Universities have been around forever, and it really became common in the industrial age when that was the way to become successful, going to school, getting a job, finding a career that you enjoyed or sort of enjoyed at least, and pursuing that. But as times are changing, I don't know, education, colleges especially, have kind of become a place that students are getting into more trouble than they are really helping themselves.
Yeah, that's very true. I like to think of it back in the 1800s, factories were starting to get built, and a lot of jobs and opportunities were out there, and people were going to these jobs and getting paid, and it kind of created this network, this business kind of in its own self, this idea of jobs, and these jobs kind of expanded from, I would say, from working at a factory to maybe education, educating the people who are building the factories, and I think the list goes on and on. But now, with all the technology we have, and with all the AI, all this artificial intelligence, I think it's really changing our economy in a way where those jobs that once were there are no longer in existence. There's things that have evolved and really kind of stepped out of needing those.
Right.
So I think the mindset is also changing too. It's just getting this education and getting these credentials aren't necessarily setting me up for exactly what I even would expect. College is kind of a risk in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, especially in the sense that if you're going into a 4 to 8 year plan, maybe longer for a degree, there's a fat chance these days that by the time you get out of college, that career is not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
With things like artificial intelligence and I guess robotics just in general advancing at a pretty steady rate, a lot of jobs are kind of going out the door as far as human value is concerned anyways.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and it's sad that we think that people or just individuals in general think that the position at which they're working for that's how much they're worth. Our mentor talked about his son working at this livestock place, this Scottsdale feed, and he talks about how he has a coworker. His name is Jose, and Jose is 65 years old, and he literally gets paid just as much as Doug's son, and that's $10 an hour. And the saddest thing is that Jose thinks he's worth $10 an hour.
Right.
And I think that is such a limiting belief. And you can take that even to a deeper sense. If I get a college degree and I'm a accountant, if I believe I'm an accountant, I'm restricting myself from everything else that I could be. And that to me is terrifying. Like, I don't want to be limited by any means. And that's why I feel like I'm so open-minded. It's like, I don't want to be labeled as necessarily just one thing. I want to be labeled as a ton of things and being very versatile when it comes to just growth and being able to give service to others.
Right. Jack of all trades.
Really. Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing that Alan Watts always talked about. It's like the Joker.
Yeah.
You want to be the Joker, the one that is a wild card. You can play any card and you're still in the game.
I forget. The lecture you did send me, I forget what he said exactly, but when he started talking about the Joker, it was really, really intriguing.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades, and then something else that just struck me really deep, but it's lost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, you never know, like, what card you should be playing, and that's kind of what I've learned from Alan. It's like, we don't even know who we are in terms of this, like, society and this way we've been brought up. Like, the idea of it is like we have a million masks, and every day the idea in my heart is to release those layers, just get rid of all these masks that I've been personifying and like really putting up, when all reality, like, I just want to be myself, and I want to be the person behind the mask. And like, deep down, that's the Joker. He's been playing everybody. It's been playing you, it's been playing me. And if we can connect to that universal truth, like, I think that's when we start to get onto different levels of consciousness or even enlightenment.
Just as we were saying, and kind of break the fourth wall a little bit here with the introduce yourself, telling a little bit about yourself, what got you to where you are, which Angus am I going to introduce?
That's very true.
Is it the entrepreneur, independent business owner? Is it the pool player? Is it the BMXer? Is it who I am with other friends as opposed to who I am with you, because they're different. That takes, I guess, different attitudes.
Yeah, different lenses at which you're living your life, and that's all due to your environment.
No doubt.
And I think, like, one thing that I have been trying to grow within myself is not relying on my environment to be who I am.
Right.
And I don't want to be one different person over here and then another over there. Like, I want to all congruent to a single self.
Kind of have it overlap. Not that it's ingenuine to be to act a little different around certain people. Like,
that's
you
true.
wouldn't curse in front of your grandmother if you're someone who curses.
Yeah.
People just don't do that. But yeah, no, totally. An overlapping of those kind of separate individuals within yourself.
Yeah.
Is absolutely crucial to becoming a stronger person.
Maybe it's not necessarily getting rid of the specific personas you have, but as if you all are like pieces of a thread, and like and this is just a new idea, as you get into more and more experiences, you're adding more twine to your thread and like making it stronger. Okay. Like, this thread is built out of many threads, but in the long run it becomes a string, and then a rope, and then maybe a chain. I don't know.
So rope to chain. Yeah, no doubt.
So I like that perspective. It's like, you can't take away from being a different person in certain circumstances. We're going to be different no matter what. It's just trying to be consistent.
Right, absolutely.
In that.
Consistent in your values, at least.
Yeah. I like that.
That's really what's crucial. I'm not going to go make different decisions with my friends from Litchfield that I would with you if those are something that's going to infringe on my values.
Yeah, very true. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. It's with education. We can even take that back and just like, well, what are your values? Like, do you want to like work hard and be able to supply for your family, or are you trying to be a servant to your God, or what are these things that are aligning yourself and kind of guiding you through life? Like, I kind of see it as like, if there's someone who doesn't really have any aspirations, or potentially not having like a family and just kind of living their life, because they don't have a set standard of values, they could really get off track, and they could really fall off the bandwagon, playing and like watching too much sports, or playing too much video games, or too much all this kind of indulging into life's kind of like very deceptive ways. Like, as much as it is fun to play video games, today I played the Oculus Rift. That was really cool, but I don't feel like our lives are meant to indulge into just pleasure.
Certainly not an overindulgence, no. You hear a lot, and I met a guy the other night that talked about how he's just living for the moment, jumping from friend's house to friend's house, doesn't even have a place that he's staying.
Oh, damn.
Doesn't want to worry about getting a house or his living situation until he's 30, and he's like 25.
Dang.
Doesn't worry about bills, doesn't think about any of that. And I think that's just someone who's confused the idea of living kind of as a free spirit, I guess, with a valueless life, and someone who's not making value-based decisions. He's going to end up getting there, and it's probably just going to continue.
It totally is.
It's more or less a bad habit than anything else at this point. So yeah, that's definitely troublesome when you're overindulging, and those are hobbies. In a sense, if you're not where you want to be in life, are bad habits that need broken. And I've had to stop playing pool a great deal because there's just no room for it, and that's something I'll eventually get back to.
But I think it's something that, because you find pleasure in it, you're putting yourself in a position where that almost inspires you to go out there and give you, or buy back your freedom so you can be able to play again.
Absolutely.
Whereas some people overindulge themselves and think that they can do this way for the rest of their lives, and there's no consequences with their actions today, and how it's really constricting when it comes to like preparing for the future. Because I totally agree, you should live in the moment. I talked to a guy earlier today. He picked up The Power of Now. I'm like, you realize that like that book opens up every possible answer in existence.
The thing with The Power of Now, it's not, in a sense, it's about living in the moment, but not the way a lot of people perceive it. It's about presence. More than anything else. Being present, and when you're present, you are very much in the moment, but you still have to make decisions for yourself. You can't just be, go with the wind.
No, you can't just let life play you.
Right.
Life is meant to be played.
Precisely.
And
presence helps that.
Yeah, presence literally opens up every route to what you should be doing at this moment. Exactly what you're doing at this moment.
Exactly.
And I feel like too many of us say that we're in the moment, but really our eyes and our thoughts are either laying in the future, but honestly in the past. We're maybe thinking about someone who's done us wrong, or maybe we're scared of what has happened, and potentially what we're scared of what's going to come. And I think that's not being present at all. That's literally the opposite of being present. It's really releasing all your energy and all your efforts to the void.
Yeah, the void's a good one. I love that word.
Yeah.
And that part of the problem with going out and drinking every weekend, or some people drink even more than that, is that they believe they're living in the moment, and they're enjoying life while they're young, whereas really they're getting lost in an activity. That's not presence, that's
overindulgence,
losing your rational mind for a night, and probably making a few mistakes along the way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I know that we're very similar, and I feel like I got out of that phase of like living for the weekend or living to get messed up and stuff, and I don't understand like why people like just in my brain it's just like it doesn't make sense to make short-term decisions like that don't help you, like even in a little short-term, long-term relationship.
Often harmful short-term.
Yeah, very harmful short-term. Well, I'm thinking of the next morning.
Right.
I'm thinking when you go out and do stupid decisions like that, you're setting the next day up for failure.
No doubt.
And I noticed that early on, and I feel like I just wanted to get out of that, and it wasn't guiding me into who I wanted to become. And if only we could instill people's values on that, just like, who do you want to become and what are you doing today to get you there?
Right.
So I think those are huge questions you have to ask yourself. That goes back to writing down your morals and what's important to you.
Absolutely. And some of that goes over people's heads either way.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really have the drinking phase. I've never been a drinker, luckily. Because human beings have addictive personalities.
Oh, totally.
And my family certainly does. There's a history of drinking problems, so I'm happy I never jumped on the train. With the experimentation of psychedelics, it was purely for the pursuit of deeper spirituality and kind of figuring myself out. And even that, it was intentional, and even that only lasted 6 months or so of minimal use, because I wasn't getting what I thought I was going to get out of them.
Yeah.
And there was no longer any point in really taking them and kind of abusing them like most people do.
Yeah. No, I feel like we live in an abusive society only because we think not only so long term, but our addictive personalities are inherent. And unless we get addicted to things that like help us rather than things that hold us back, I think the fact of the matter is until you can get onto the high rise, the things that might not like feel good at the time, but will set you up for a better experience far than you could ever imagine, indulging yourself in short-term mindset kind of activities. So they're just like thinking like, hey, like I'm intentional with what I'm trying to do today so I can have a better tomorrow.
Absolutely. And Simon Sinek talks about making, one of the things he talks about making lists and checking stuff off the list. It kind of gives you a jolt of either serotonin or
it's dopamine, yeah, total neurotransmitter release, because what it is basically doing, it's knowing how much work that you put into that and getting a result.
Excellent.
Whereas, yeah, you can put a lot of work and kind of cheat the system, or not even put any work at all. Like when it comes to, I would say a lot of sugar, a lot of like fatty foods, even like drugs and like highly addictive drugs. It's like you're skipping out the hard work and like the actual like looking back at it like, oh, I did that, and you're going straight into the indulgence, straight into the, oh, this feels so good. But it's like, it's almost like as if they're complete opposites. Like you have this phase of hard work and then little phase of achievement, whereas when you have like when you're overindulging in things, you have a short period of achievement and a long term of like just like turmoil and like just out of whack kind of mentalities.
Right. And we talk in our business, we talk a lot about pushing gratification off into the future.
Yeah.
And that's just not something people do.
No.
It's I work today, I mowed the lawn, so I get to drink the rest of the evening. I get to watch TV the rest of the evening.
You're kidding me.
And it's
in that like you can't really figure out anything that you don't already know, and I think that's just goes back to the level of going back to education. It's like you're going to school to learn stuff that you inherently already know. You already know how to work. You know how to put yourself in a position where you can achieve certain possibilities. But I want to take it even deeper. It's if you can understand yourself and you can understand what you're here to do, you can give people value and have ownership of the actions you take. And instead of getting a degree, you could build an asset that would fuel your ideas and fuel your passions and really let go of the stigma of working for someone else. You work for yourself because you've breaking the border. You're past this text. You're past all this translation, and you become into a realm where your translation yourself. You are the translation.
And I'd love to cite Jordan Peterson real quick before we take off. He refers to the archetypes of language.
Oh yeah.
And once, like, if I articulate something that you already inherently knew but didn't have the words to express it, you go, I knew that. I already knew that. I just didn't know how to say it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think Terrence, the importance of listening to philosophy and reading books.
He almost edifies what is already on your mind.
Exactly. And they put it into words for you, and that in a sense expands your mind, expands your ability to speak on this stuff, which is just crucial. Communication is at the core of everything.
Mm-hmm. So
education alike, and communicating with people. Part of our business is talking to people and deepening conversations and going around all that. So
just learning how to communicate. So I want to say that's probably one of the biggest things that we can take from our talk today is just being able to communicate and realizing that what's put forth before you isn't necessarily a wall, it's an obstacle. So if we can just really understand that, like, our conversations and who we are and the conversations that you like are a great indication of what type of translation or even what type of archetype you kind of are, and use that to your ability. But I don't want to bash education. I just know that with the types of people that I've been connecting with lately, it's changing dramatically. Our mindset has changed, and until we can change our mindset, we'll keep on being in this loop. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much for checking this video out. Just make sure you check over at Angus's links, whatever you got, maybe Instagram or ideally maybe a channel that he could be starting. So, or just maybe
Captain Ango.
Yeah. Maybe we'll create our own. We'll diversify on ourselves and create a new YouTube channel.
Joint channel, that'd be fun.
Yeah, just for videos like this. So let us know what you guys think about this, and have a beautiful day, guys. Namaste.
Lasagna.